Ladies and gentlemen, children of the interwebs out there, smashing image, drawing styles, cinephile, and WandaVision episode 8. Let us geek about it for a scant few minutes, because this episode, while it answered a lot of questions as to how we got to this point, it also raised some other questions that we're going to be, I guess, debating for quite a while. Now, this episode opened up with a flashback to Agatha Harkness, who we of course know was Agnes, who is the big bad of the season. We see her, I guess, put on trial by other members of her coven for practicing dark magic. She slaughters all of them, including her mother, and she continues practicing this witchcraft through to the present day. We're assuming. And Agatha's interest in Wanda is to understand how she was able to do what she's doing in Westview. We see that Agatha is just astonished by the fact that Wanda can hold on and carry out these magical spells that affect, people clear across town, like miles away. She's able to maintain control over that. She's just proven to be this super powerful being. Again, as I previously said, I think this series is laying the groundwork to show us what we know in the comics, that Wanda Maximoff is one of the most powerful, superpowered beings walking the face of the earth. They're using this show to kind of establish that the MCU Wanda is one of the most powerful, superpowered beings to walk the face of the earth. Agatha uses glimpses into Wanda's past to help understand how Wanda's able to do what she can do. Now we see a glimpse of Wanda's home life with her parents, and we kind of see where she latches onto sitcoms. They kind of use them to learn their English. The kids did. They also use them as entertainment to kind of take their minds off their situation, their poor life, and it was an escape for them until, of course, bombs hit, parents got killed, and we see what we heard in Age of Ultron, where they were stuck with a Stark Industries, missile in front of them for 2 days, hoping and praying it didn't go off, which it didn't. But Agatha kind of makes some side comments that may suggest that Wanda has some latent magical abilities, that she may have used them to affect the bomb to make it not go off. And that, of course, we skip ahead to where she's being experimented on by Hydra, and we find out that maybe her contact with the Tesseract may have unlocked some of those latent magical powers, because we see a glimpse of the Soul Stone and a glimpse of Wanda's future Scarlet Witchy sort of self in a vision before she collapses after coming in contact with the Tesseract. And of course, Hydra scientists, they don't see what we saw. They just see her standing up and then she's falling down on this security footage, so they don't even know what's going on. And then of course, bring it up a little bit more, and we see that Wanda, when she came back from the blip, she wanted to go recover Vision's body because it's basically all she had left. But it wasn't there. It was being held by SWORD. So of course we see the events that were alluded to earlier on, where Wanda showed up at SWORD headquarters and stole the Vision's body. Come to find out, she didn't steal the Vision's body at all. Of course, they were experimenting on it because that's what shady government organizations do. But she left the body there, got back into her car, and then drove off and drove to Westview. And she just has a breakdown and just lashes out with her powers. And then we see her carry out the hex that's put on the town, and we see that actually she didn't steal Vision's body. She just spit him out. She recreated him. She can create life, essentially. Raises some questions. And again, Agatha's sole purpose in this episode is to find out how Wanda can do what she does. And Agatha comes to the conclusion that Wanda is a myth. She's an entity, a being, a superpower being that has been prophesized for however long, spoken about in whispers and, the stuff of nightmares, the boogeyman, the monster under the bed, the monster in the closet. That's what Wanda is. Wanda is the Scarlet Witch who wields chaos magic. So there's a lot here, a lot to unpack. And like I said, it answers some questions. We see how and why Wanda ended up creating Westview. And again, kind of goes with some of our theories that Wanda created Westview, but she doesn't really understand that she's hurting the people in it. All she sees, all she could see, all she could think about is the fact that she was in mourning, she was grieving. Vision, he was taken away, and she just wanted him back. And now she has him back. She has the family with the kids. That's all she's thinking about. She's just tunnel vision on that happy place that she's created for herself. She's not seeing the damage she's doing to the outside world. So I'm thinking once she kind of realizes that, she's going to end the hex, and then she's going to have to sacrifice her happiness to end the hex and let everybody, return to their normal lives and stuff like that. I think that's it's going to be like a tragic ending. The biggest thing about this is the retconning of sorts with Age of Ultron. Now, to this point, we were thinking Hydra is the source of her and Pietro's powers, but as Agatha said in this, she called her baby witch and some other things. Wanda seems to have had some latent, magical abilities which may or may not have affected the missile. But if that's true, and if they were kicked off by her proximity to and contact with the Tesseract, that would explain her. But what about Pietro? And a lot of people on some of the message boards that I go to were kind of speculating that maybe this is insinuating that Wanda is a mutant and that we're bringing mutants into the MCU. Some people disagreed with that point of view, and just the fact that it brings us questions of Pietro and how did he survive, because he's not a magical being. He doesn't have any sort of he has super speed. He doesn't have something that would lend itself towards survival coming into contact with the Tesseract. So did Wanda reach out when it was Pietro's time to come in contact with the Tesseract? Did Wanda reach out with her powers and then thus save him from dying, from being close to the Tesseract? So maybe Wanda is the reason Pietro has powers. Is Wanda going to be the source of mutants in the MCU? It changes Age of Ultron, of course, but it just, again, we see, we get some questions answered. We can see why Wanda's doing what she's doing, but we're also left with a lot more questions. So it remains to be seen how it all plays out in the finale. I'm just hoping, because the runtimes have fluctuated over the course of some of the episodes, I'm hoping that the season 1 finale, I guess series finale of WandaVision, has time to really give us a good battle between Wanda and Agatha, and then Fake Vision against WandaVision, and we've got Monica Rambeau floating out there as Photon, getting her photon powers. Hopefully there's time to really to get a spotlight on all those things, and also have a nice, satisfying conclusion for the series that also takes us in, because we know this is going to take us directly into the Doctor Strange sequel. So I'm hoping that a satisfying conclusion to this story is not going to have to wait until that movie. That we will watch the season finale of WandaVision and think, okay, cool, that's a good story. If I stop here, it's a complete story that I'm satisfied with. If I want to journey further into Doctor Strange, kind of see what happens next, I could do that too. But hopefully there's a nice, tidy end to this story. It remains to be seen how it all plays out. I have faith and confidence in Marvel and their writers and their production teams. I mean, they haven't let us down to this point. So we'll see how it all plays out. Anyway, those are some of my thoughts on it, scattered as they so often are. What do you guys out there think about WandaVision, this episode, some of the revelations, the change in kind of Wanda having latent powers that were unlocked by the Tesseract? Did Wanda, her powers affect Pietro? Are we going to get mutants? Anyway, let me know in the comments below. Follow me, social media, talk to me there, talk to me here. Let us geek.